NFL. So let's go ahead and pick up where we kind of left off at. We didn't get to talk Chargers that much because we had Chargers Lions, but last night the Chargers did dominate on prime time for the second week in a row. They wound up getting themselves a very, very resounding victory on Monday Night Football. It was pretty much a snoozer. Let's keep it real. There wasn't that much offense on either side. Defense was really the star of the show in this game last night as well. You had Justin Herbert, who probably had a season low, but he probably had you know, his most effective game, I think, when it comes to leading his team and keeping his team intact and keeping guys' mentality right and taking advantage of when they were able to, force turnovers and then turn those turnovers into points. Joey Bosa, big strip sack. It wasn't a sack, but a big strip that he had. But it was so funny the way that he did it. He absolutely dominated the tackle on that play. Then he goes up and just slaps the ball out of Zach Taylor's hand. So that was pretty funny in itself. Chargers were able to get an easy fumble recovery right there for that sequence, and also Khalil Mack shows up. He gets himself in the mix as well too, and strips. And he had an even prettier strip of Zach Wilson. So the Chargers were on their A game on the defensive side yesterday, and as I was telling Jeff during our show, that people have to understand that front seven of the Chargers is really good. And this team in the Chargers, the only significant game where they really got beat soundly was in the Chiefs game, and they had an opportunity to win that game several times. They just let it get away in the fourth quarter. They wind up losing by 10 points it was, but that's the only game they've lost by double digits this year. And it was a game that they were still in most of the majority of the game. And you felt like they could win this game as well too. And so this team right now should be kicking itself because they should be 7-1. Because literally they've been in every single game, every game. And I think the only game they did not have a lead in was the Chiefs game. Every other game, they've been right there at the cusp of winning. It's nuts. And this team should tell themselves that, we got plenty of time, man. And being 4-4 right now is probably one of the best things you could be. Not having a bye anymore, being able to play now the heart of your schedule. You got Detroit coming up on Sunday. You got Green Bay coming up after that. And then you got the big one with Baltimore on the 26th of November. And I'm talking about all games left for the month of November, for this month. And then, in December, that will tell the tale of this team, the last final 6 weeks of the season. But these 3 weeks right here are probably going to be the only time where the Chargers can afford to lose 2 out of 3, or possibly, win 2 out of 3. But the Chargers have an opportunity to win all 3 of these games because that's just how good they are. I don't care what anybody says. This Chargers team is the gift and the curse in the NFL at this point. This team is 8th in scoring. But their biggest pet peeve is they're giving up a lot of points. They're giving up 21.8. They're 21st in the league. Yards per game, 13th. Passing yards, 9th. Rushing yards. This is something that needs to be fixed. But in that category, they're 21st, and you still have Eckler. In sacks, they're number 2 in sacks. This is what's making this Charger team still relevant, that this defense really has to rely on a great pass rush because they're not getting a lot of interceptions, but they are getting a lot of fumbles. And that's one thing that getting a lot of sacks can get you. This team needs to just stay focused. They have their next big game coming up. Green Bay is a wild card game, a game that you could be looking at your next game after that when you play Baltimore back in LA, because that's going to be a game in LA as well too. So this month is going to be another jam-packed, exhilarating month for the Bolts. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. And this team, to me, is on the rise. Be ready for the NFL rankings tomorrow morning that I have for you guys. I know I missed last week, but I told myself, no, don't worry about last week. Let's just get them through every few weeks. We don't have to do it every week. We can go ahead and do it through 10 weeks, check mark weeks and things of that nature. But you guys will be fairly surprised, and I hope that everybody figures out why I'm going in that direction. But all in all, though, the Chargers did exactly what their fans have been envisioning them to do over the last 2 weeks, and that's dominate. That's making sure that you don't have to be in these three point wins, 3 point losses, 2 point losses, 1 point losses. You should have went for it on fourth and inches, blah, 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 blah. None of that. Just an easy peasy game for the Chargers, because this is really how good this team can truly be when they're clicking on all cylinders, but especially when this defense is at their absolute best. So with that, let's go ahead, move forward, jump into our next topic, which is going to be the NFL MVP